And welcome to another edition of Calling the Audible. I'm your host, Mo Khan, along with my co-host, Peeze, Della, Reeze,
What's up?
Eagle in the Nest. What's happening, gentlemen? So
Hello.
for those who saw the opening graphic of Calling the Audible, Eagle caught it in the nick of time here that he misrepresented what episode this is. It is episode 4. But if you look at this thing here, and Peeze, I'll ask you as the tiebreaker, Flag Football Calling the Audible. Should we not put Flag Plus Football Presents Calling the Audible?
It can be. It can be. I do like, by the way, this is it's a minor mutiny from the creatives of FPF, me, Eagle, and Duke. Duke being the guy who does the graphics. Because Calling the Audible is kind of like always been like a thing we've done. Like yourself, Mo, and me and Eagle. Like, you know, it's part of FPF, but it's our baby, right? And so I love that it's twice the size of Flag Plus Football. I do love that.
Well,
I do love that. That's
we
a
have
little
such a
mutiny
big
on behalf
budget.
of Duke.
We have a big budget. We have a rustic background. That's how big we are now. We're balling now with rustic backgrounds in studio and stuff. I'll be back in studio next week.
I can make you really small too. Here, look at that.
It's pretty good.
Look at that, eh?
Hey, maybe it's just because it's cold.
You know what? In protest of FPF, let's put this graphic of us over the FPF logo, so no one knows what league we're talking about, right?
Yeah, it could be MFL.
Exactly.
I could be Will Power, and you could be Theo Babylon.
No,
not Theo. What's his name? Terry Babylon.
There you go. The Babylon Club. All right, so let's dive into it. It is episode 4, and a reminder as we approach the halfway point of the season in the next 10 days or so. Most of the teams have played 4 games. Some have played 3 games. And if you read right below how many games need to be eligible, it is 5 games to be eligible for your playoff run. So for those teams who are looking to get guys eligible or perhaps bringing on a player or 2 for the stretch run, now's the time to bring them in so you have that runway to work with to get them ready to go for the playoff run in late August, early September. So 5 games, as you see right underneath my screen, is flashing across the board that you need to be eligible for the playoff run.
Also, though, if you're going to be playing against Hot Sauce Sports in the playoffs and you do want to miss a playoff game for no reason, I highly urge you to start missing games now.
Also, I could have totally automated this on and off, but I did it manually instead because it's way more fun.
I literally see you in the corner of my eye clicking the space bar on and off.
No doubt he is. That's his way of making fun of us.
Yeah. And
how fast can I go?
It's giving me a seizure. Yeah, so no, if your best player just wants to miss games or, you know, not have a jersey, that's fine. That'd be awesome. I'd appreciate that.
Another thing to add, if there is an issue with the games played, I recommend all captains to reach out to FPF and any date Simon Dagenet with email inquiries if my guy has played X.
Even if it's not true, it's going to waste so much of Simon's time to investigate.
Please.
So please do it. Please do it.
Encourage you because Simon needs the excitement in his life since he's not playing.
Simon's in this thing where, like, every season he kind of gets more responsibility and does less work. And I don't know how he's done it. It's the height of white privilege, isn't it? Like to just get paid to do less and less and less.
It's the Peeze formula.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, to be fair. Although I did give myself a writing assignment this season for no reason because I didn't have to. But here we are.
And let's dive into the week that was. First off, do we have any highlights here, Eagle? Did Chris Reeve send us that immaculate highlight reel he posted or he did on the weekend?
We have one for FPF Junior.
I mean, we also have a game of the week that happened. So we got Tuts and Parley versus the Blackouts. So that's available on our YouTube. You want to check that out, Mo?
Yeah, let's check it out,
maybe
man.
Just,
bring on the highlights.
Just put that in while we're talking, and we can just talk about that game. You know, we won't talk about it more specifically because you can watch what's happening, and if you're listening to the show, you can go to YouTube and watch it. But you know, as things happen in the game, we can go back to it and reference it, right? So Blackouts are really good, by the way. This is a game from last week.
2 weeks ago. What is going on here, Eagle?
No, this is the most recent game that was just
it's
posted.
not. They played. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Eagle. They played 2 weeks ago. Get this.
This is they played against.
I understand. I'm saying this is the most recent post from Chris Reeve from a content perspective. So
He
if
also
you want to watch
posted-
the game, watch the game.
He also posted FPF Junior.
Yeah, but this is an adult show.
Just saying.
I know. All right. Anyway, let's scrap this game here. Let's get to our faces.
Because they played Clinkers this week. Did Black?
They did. They did play Clinkers, and I was there for the game. And let me tell you one thing, okay, Peeze. It didn't take long for Marc-Andre Deslaunier, the tongue man himself, to get an OC in the first 3 minutes of action, which he was sent off for 10 plays. And Clinkers just couldn't find themselves in rhythm. And I'll give Tuts and Parlays their full props. This wasn't a pretty game from a sexy edge point, but their defense played well and came out with big stops in the first half going towards the second half. And that's a big one for Tuts and Parlays because, again, we look at this highlights against Black Ops. This is a game that left a sour taste in their mouths, but coming away with a win over Clinkers, I think gives them that renewed optimism that they can definitely compete with the top end of the league in terms of the the parity level that we have in this league.
Agreed. And the thing is, like with that game specifically, and I talked to him after the game because I was surprised, not by the outcome, but by the score. And he told me like after he got frustrated early, and then he got that penalty, and then that kind of threw him off the rest of the game. And I told him like, dude, like I used to trash talk as much, if not more than anybody. Eagle, you've been on those teams. You've been
Your
against
trash
those
talk
teams.
is awful, by the way.
Well, now
you
it-
just point out like facts.
Yeah, like you dropped that ball. I know, but like the thing is like, I don't trash talk anymore because 10 plays when you're the quarterback, you can't put your team in that position. It's a complete lack of leadership, and so I realized that after my first season at quarterback, and when that rule changed, I was like, yeah, it's not worth it. So like now, I literally don't say a word unless I'm just sort of joking around or having a good time. But I when I get upset, I just internalize it and I'll scream at somebody or like I don't know, break someone's window in the parking lot or something. Don't do that. That was just a joke. I don't do that. You shouldn't do it either.
No, I wouldn't do that either. But I think, look, Tuts and Parlays, we'll see what they do. We'll talk about them more in that division. One game that was probably the game of the week was Braves against Contraband in Division A.
And we set it up as game of the week. Like it wasn't the official game of the week, but it was a great game.
And so it came down to the last play with Pilon scoring the game-winning touchdown for Braves. But I'll give you two plays in this game that turned in favor for the Braves. Late first half, the Cons had the ball, and Lazara throws an INT. And that nullified any chance to perhaps go up at halftime or be close enough at halftime. And unfortunately for the Braves, they couldn't cash in for points at the end of the first half. So that was a lost drive for Lazara. What really sealed the game in terms of how the outlook came out in favor of the Braves, on the game-winning drive by the Braves, on a 4th and 11 or 4th and 10, whatever it was, Joe Mayo made a clutch throw and JD Chevalier made a clutch grab and extended the game's downs and eventually scored in the last play. Now, look, were both teams sloppy? Yes, they were, because they both had touch tournaments prior to this game. But Peeze, I'll say this right now. Best on best, when it comes to the parity of this right now, that gap is closing with the Cons and with the Braves. Unfortunately for the Cons, it was 2, if not 3 missed plays that cost them this victory or cost them this game over the Braves on Sunday.
The higher the talent level, the smaller the margin of victory is, right? So it literally will always come down to 2 or 3 mistakes in this kind of game. And the good thing for Contraband is they have a rematch. And I think they're going to split it. I think whoever was going to win this game was not likely to win the next game. It's hard to beat any team twice in a season. And it's especially hard when the teams are this close. Dan Lazara made the mistake, right? He had the interception. JD Chevalier picked him off. Mo, you were there. What were the other mistakes that you think changed the course of the game?
Well, I think the inability of both teams to cash in on extra points, I think that hurt a little bit. But it was evenly matched up. I think there were some miscues, mental miscues by both teams on the defensive side perspective, things here like prolonged plays for the quarterbacks. I just thought early on, when you look at it from, how it is, Peeze, right? In a finals matchup, whether it's pro or this level of sports, there's that angst, right? That oh, I don't want to make a mistake early on that might cost us a big play or two. And I thought both teams were cautious at first, but then they finally found their rhythm. They found their character and got going in that middle part of the first half. And when I look back to that,
sorry, go ahead, Mo.
I was gonna say, and when I look back to that pick, that Dan threw late in the first half, had they scored those points, and Peeze, a late first half touchdown just changes the script going towards the second half. I thought that would have given them even more confidence to say, like, we can probably close out this team in the second half of this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I as you were explaining that, I just thought of this game, and it's not the same. It's not a 1-to-1 comparison, but I remembered the finals where D-Boys played against Montreal's Finest. And I think Marco started with 3 interceptions and Kevin White started with 2 interceptions. There was 5 interceptions on the board before there was a touchdown. Do you remember that game?
I do. It was a pick fest, right? Like
yeah,
it was
but it ended up being an
another.
incredible game. But just both teams were so cautious to start the game, and that led to more mistakes because of how tense they were. And then when both teams kind of let loose, we were privy to this offensive explosion in the later part of that game. And it didn't manifest in that way here. Both teams just got on the board and continued scoring. But I know what you mean, that when you start with that, a little bit of tension's good. It's important. You need to feel the nerves when you go into a game, but you need to at some point get to your game. And so I guess in this case the Braves just got there first.
Yeah, no question about that. What caught your attention, Peeze, in terms of the other games in the division or across the league itself?
I want to bring up a team specifically, and I don't love to talk about my games. We talked about my game at length last week just because it was game of the week. But I don't want to talk about my team, but I'll talk about the team we played against, Balling 60s. And the reason why is because they're a team they're not familiar to us. They're in Division D. We've talked about them a little bit in the past, but we weren't familiar with any of the names, right? So it was always cursory. So this is the first time I had to see them in person. They're better. They're a lot better than the record is. Frank Colatrella said that we would beat them by 60. If I played a perfect game, we would never beat them by 60. They managed the ball well on offense. They dropped 3 touchdowns. We didn't deserve to win the game. We did not play well at all, and we only won because we're more experienced and we can handle we handled the adversity better than they did. Joseph Crivello has a great arm. He literally threw the ball almost out of the back of the end zone from a heave from the starting point. I think we started at the 10-yard line, Eagle. Yeah. So yeah, he was able to, from his own end zone, throw it through the other end zone. Not common in the lower divisions. And throws a nice deep ball. He moves around too much. And the players on the team let him down. They weren't able to make catches. They actually implemented a lot of shoots in their defense later in the game, which I was impressed by because you don't see that often in the low divisions. The way they executed it was like a low division team. They would shoot to a gap even if there was no routes coming that way. So then once I saw that happening, I could just call plays there were guys going to gaps. And so, again, I'm so impressed by what they know so early in their FPF career and with their athleticism. And once they learn sort of this much more, and for those just listening, my fingers are very close. When they learn this much more, they're going to be a team to contend with. I came away with that game very worried about us and very impressed by them. So
how many losses? What's the combined total points they've lost now? They lost to you guys by 7. What's the rest of the schedule for Ball and 60s of losses so far? They lost by 7 to you guys.
Bruins, Vultures, Tough Lungs Replacements, Kiss My End Zone, Spares, Legion, and Glow Gang left. And yeah, they got blown out in their first game, blown out in their second game, and the third game was pretty close.
But they're starting. It's the first time they're in this division, right? So the first couple of weeks, it's going to take them a second to find their legs. And honestly, we ended with the ball. It was essentially a 2-score game for most of the game. So it is what it is. But like I'm saying, the score sheet doesn't even tell you the story. 26-19. It doesn't again. The game had some distance, but in reality, they shouldn't even have been down. They should have won this game. They should have absolutely won this game.
So a game that I saw was Los Siete Amigos against Top Season, and I'm starting to buy into the Kool-Aid of LSA and how they are. Yep. This is a fun team. This is a team that plays and they can adapt to different styles. They can run it on you. They can keep it pass and keep it simple. But they got so many explosive players on this roster, Peeze, that this scoreline was not indicative of them winning 41-35. This should have been a 2-score win for them. And I wonder now for Top Season, I know we spoke about them a couple weeks ago, but it just feels like they're just missing ingredients to that roster. They have players, Hassani Royales on this roster, who's phenomenal. We've seen him play. And Gordon Thomas is phenomenal as well. You look at Ryan McGrath, who's receiving this year as opposed to the quarterback that he normally is. They got ballers. Taquan John is a baller.
Absolutely.
But
it just feels like the secondary players on the team, they try to keep this team together as much as possible and as low a division as possible for as long as possible. I think it's going to bite them because they, rather than moving up with the best version of their squad, they always lose a piece or two. And I feel as though that's exactly what's happening, is they don't look as good. But they also didn't have their quarterback this week, from what I'm seeing.
No, Will Sabag was the quarterback, and unfortunately, he's not the answer. I mean, look, whether he's going to be there or not afterwards, but he's not the answer for them. He's not. Like, too many.
Because wasn't Bradley Perrin the quarterback to start the season?
I forget. I know they had a rotation of characters, but the thing is, a top season is that when I look at Sabag as a quarterback, look at the numbers. If you go back to the box score, you go for 1 minute, please, or show it to everyone right now. Look at the targets, right? Hassani Worrell only had 6 targets. I think he went 4 for 6.
Yeah.
But this is a guy that's a mismatched nightmare with agility, Peeze, to score and make people miss. Get him the ball. Get your playmakers the ball. And I just thought Sabag was very unorthodox, very not careless, but he was almost erratic at times with what he was reading on the football field. And LSA just look relaxed out there. Fafalk's playing phenomenal, running and throwing the football. And that defense can ball with the best. And Benjamin Reed, as we spoke about in years past about him, had a big play in this matchup here. So LSA, I think, we'll talk about next week in terms of the halfway point of the year, but this is a team I think is growing in confidence and stature of being one of the contenders for this division title.
I agree. They're good. They're a good team, man. It's I've said it for a while now. I don't know why it surprises you. I've been saying it for like a couple of seasons that they're going to be a good team very soon, and they're here.
We don't pay attention, Peeze. You know.
Clearly not. I've been talking about these guys for a long time.
Anything else that caught your attention? Division E. I know you're the E guy, and
I was actually going to transition into D quickly.
Go ahead.
Blessed beat B-Ballers. This is a game we were split on. So even though I'm smashing you in our picks, B-Ballers took this loss.
You took them, right?
I took B-Ballers to win that game, yeah.
Because they were pissed at you, Bless. And hey, listen, tell Peeze to actually do some research. I'm like, what do we pick? I don't remember what we picked.
That gets me every week when people expect us to remember what we say on the show.
I know.
No, look, the thing is, like, it's not that I don't know Blessed are good. I think they're really good. It's also, they won by 4 points, so maybe chill a little bit with the research.
Well, no, but hold on.
Be
That's
better?
the scoreline, not indicative of what the scoreline was, Peeze. Because
but the final score is the final score, right? Or is it not the final score? Is the game still happening?
Well, here's the thing, Peeze. I score kept this game. They had I think it was a 3-score lead at one point, and they chipped away here. But
also, they're soft, and they let B-Ballers get back into the game, and they didn't deserve to win. Got it.
Well,
cool.
Gianni Casati.
I'm making enemies, Mo. I'm trying to make an enemy.
I know. Nick Dan's not playing for them, but Gianni.
I know. I hate it. I miss that. I don't have him to make fun of every week.
Casati had a bad first half. He made some bad throws. They fooled him. Svetna, these guys bamboozled him. They literally fell into their traps. And Bless was able to exploit those mistakes to their advantage for points and they were in complete control. And Stephen Harripersaud was meticulous, and we have a cool stat about him later on in the show, which we'll talk about. But he was meticulous, surgical. He was smart in how he called his plays. And I thought that's where we talk about experience piece with you guys and how you beat ball in 60s. I think experience was the determining factor in why Bless beat B-Ballers on the Broadsword game last week.
And to be clear, like, I think these are two really good teams. And like, I'm looking at a defense, and I can see, Gianni Casati, who again played outside of FPF and is coming in with knowledge, but he's also playing. It's still a different league. There's still like a minutia that's different from this league to others. And looking at that defense, like having to face Isaiah Lard, Will Power, Kevin Smuda, Jonathan Svetna, and Marvin Steinberg that's a ridiculous defense, right? Like as good as Blessed is on offense, on defense they're ridiculous. So
look at the length, look at the size, look at the speed. They have all three ingredients for a perfect recipe for that roster. So it was phenomenal. It was a great game. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind seeing these two teams go at it again in the playoffs if that's going to be the cards play out in September. But I think it was a lesson learned for B-Ballers, because as great as they've been, and they are rocketing out of the gates here and how well they've been, Peeze. This was one of those losses that we can look back and say maybe it turned their season around to understand they have to make their adjustments and be better than what they were last week.
To me, you see Charles Verreau only having 2 targets in this game. You mentioned, like, in the previous game, get the ball to your stars. Like, you need to find a way to get Charles Farrell open. Like, he's a really, really good FPF player. Like, the guy in less than 200 catches has 69 nice touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
no, for sure.
Like, find a way to use that. You know what I mean?
For sure. Division E, the best game, Ravens. Green means go. Green means go wins the game over the Ravens. Before we get into the topics here, Peeze, I saw from where I was. I didn't fully focus on it because I was watching my games, scorekeeping them and stuff. But from what I gather, this was an even game of how it played out in terms of the play calling from both sides here. And the execution. And you see it by the scoreline being a 5-point win for Green Means Go. Again, Ravens are a really good defense, but I think this Green Mean Go's team was a big one for them for their confidence moving towards the second half of the season.
So this was the most surprising week for me in Division E, which is good because Division E is usually very predictable because there's usually a very clear top end where you have a combination of really talented young teams who are just fast and a menace that are harder for some of the less athletic teams, and then experienced teams. And Green Means Go and Ravens, like, so you have sort of the Ravens have that explosive factor with a bit of experience, but Green Means Go, obviously the wealth of experience on that team is impressive. But I didn't think they had a chance to win the game. I thought just the physical advantage on Ravens was a big deal, and they represent one of several surprising results. Like, I didn't think Menace to Sobriety would beat Oscar's Hockey School. I didn't think Oreos would get hammered by Blast from the Past. So this shows me, this made me insanely happy. I know, again, teams, when we pick against them, take it personally because whatever Michael Jordan told them to do so, and then in his documentary about himself, of stories we already knew about. But the thing is that when you see this in a low division, to me, it's the best possible scenario. It's you don't want to have blowouts every week. You don't want it to be a predictable division. You don't want to know by week 3 who's going to win the championship. And it's cool to see that a lot of the top dogs that we had pegged to be the best teams in the division, guys who I've ranked highly in my power rankings every week, like Ravens, to me, I ranked them at 1 before, even though they had a bye week 1, just because of how good I expect the team to be. And you know what? It's great. It's great for the division.
It's great, and you know what? I mean, we'll talk about it now in our topics of Division E as we get into that right now.
I thought we were doing that smooth transition. I was trying to just set you up there.
We are, and that's why, you know, when we look at the favorites from each conference here, Peeze, do we have a clearer picture now?
We have a less clear picture. To me, we have a less clear picture by a lot. Like, because do you not think Ravens are a front runner? Do you not think Oreo's talent is going to be one of the best teams in the division? Like, you know, I don't. You were high on Oscar's Hockey School. Do you think Menace to Sobriety are legitimately better and will beat them 10 times out of 10?
Let me tell you something about Oscar's Hockey School. Okay, they bring out a crowd. They brought like 30 people to Laval.
How about answering my question though?
I'm just saying though. I'm just trying to say though. Look, you know, but no. To answer your question though.
Hey, we had a fan this week, so you're like, yeah, catching up.
Yeah, and look, when you look at each conference right now, and I know we can't look at the stats as closely in terms of the win-loss point differential per game here, but I've noticed a trend, Peeze, that we're seeing a lot of these Division E games come down to the last 5 plays, at most last minute of play. I saw it with Melons against Save the Turtles this week, where it came down to the last 5 plays.
Turf Turtles.
It was a good game. It was a really good game for both teams. And I thought both teams played really well, but Save the Turtles have a much better defense at this point. Yeah, and the thing is, I think now, moving towards this second half of the season, Peeze, we're going to see a few more upsets of the higher-ranked Division E teams from the bottom half of each conference in the next few weeks here.
I look, but that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, I have a less clear picture of who the top teams are because I expected Suicide Squad to be good, and then they struggled early, and then they destroyed V-Town, who looked really good last week, right? And then, you know, just across the board. The one thing I will say, has there ever been, of all the teams named Balls Deep, because clearly people keep thinking this is a clever name because it keeps getting reused, even though I always think it's kind of cheesy. Has there ever been a team called Balls Deep win a championship in FPF?
No.
Can we retire the name, please? Can you please just find something more creative?
And we can ask our historian on site, GM Calethris, for that stuff, but I don't even think a Balls Deep team has had a positive win record.
There we go.
Like,
there we go.
If you look, how many Balls Deep teams have we had in this league?
That's too many. The first time a team was called Balls Deep, I was like, ha! Can't believe Rob allowed that. And then like each subsequent time, it got less and less funny. It's not like a fart noise. A fart noise I will always laugh at.
Like if there were, say, 6 teams named Balls Deep, if we put them in a playoff bracket, do you think we get one in the finals?
I don't think any of them would win.
So
even if they're only playing each other, nobody would win. Everyone would lose.
Winter 2010, Winter 2013, Spring 2013, Winter 2014, Winter 2015, Winter 2016, Winter 2018, Summer 2019, Winter 2020, Summer 2021. There's 2 of them, Balls with a Z and Balls with an apostrophe. And in Summer 2017, we had Going Deep as well. And in terms of ball, I mean, I don't even know how many variants. I'm not going to get into.
Yeah, but it's fine. Like again, it's not the ball joke that I dislike.
No.
I think you could be clever with it, but it just Balls Deep. It's kind of played out at this point.
Right. So
there's also a Summer 2009. My list was too big, so we're at least 12.
Okay, like if you go balls shallow, I would have preferred that.
We could, in theory, get one team in the Final Four. In theory,
maybe, but I doubt it. We have 2 right now in FPF, so.
So who's your front runner Conference A? If we're looking at this list here.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, right? Because look, this week
we have the top. Were you?
Yeah, we have the top 2 teams, Eagle, going at each other this week. Green Means go against how do you say his name? As it's not the Eleni, but it's Pincellos or
Pincellos.
What? Pincellos, right? They're playing each other this week here, Peeze.
I don't even think either of these teams are front runner, to be honest. But
okay, but
I'm wrong so far.
Right. So who do you think this loss would hurt more in the long run in terms of what we have right now?
Neither, because I expect both to make the playoffs.
Right, but in the overall seedings, because in theory, let's just say Green Means Go loses to them this week, okay?
Pincellos.
In theory, Pincellos. In theory, V-Town could be in first place by Monday night. And they're in 5th place right now.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, 1 through 5, it's still undetermined to be determined who's going to finish where, but this loss could set back one of these teams and going for a 1 or 2 seed for a 5 seed.
I'll bite. I think the one who it'll affect is Pincellos more so than Green Means Go because the Dave Allen factor, right? Like Dave Allen, everyone in FPF has played against him at one point because I think he was not only there when the league was created, but when Sand itself was created. Like to me, he's synonymous with FPF. I saw him playing in my first day at FPF. He was at the field next to us. And I was like, I want to be that guy. And
it's coming close. All I got to do is shave your head and grow a white beard.
Yeah, but he's already...
Oh, you got beeped out. You got beeped out there.
I have to blow my nose and I muted both
just
by accident.
Mute your own mic. The thing is that like I'm impressed by them more so than I thought I'd be. And the thing is also it's kind of like having the quote unquote veteran leadership. Like if things start to go sideways for a couple of games, like if they drop 2 in a row, I'm not really worried about them. Like they'll be fine. My worry is just I don't know if they can run the table against the top dogs. I've been wrong so far, so continue proving me wrong. Pincellos, I think they're a volatile group, and I think they're more susceptible to falling apart if things don't go well.
Yeah, I think Pincellos needs this victory more than Green Means Go. I think for them, if they were to get this victory, they would be 4-1 at the halfway point of the season. They would control their number 1 seed fate going towards the final 5 games of the year. And when you see the teams below them, Peeze, you got Ravens. You got Rainmakers. You got V-Town, Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
I think those 3 teams have issues. I mean, I watched the Rainmakers play again this past week. I think their offense is probably still in developmental role, like trial and error with Derek Castor at quarterback. But they have to put a string of wins together, Pincellos, and kind of stiff arm the competition below them so they don't fall into that pack of teams and they end up with a terrible playoff matchup in the first round, then playing whoever they might play as a 2 seed, if not a 1 seed, come September.
Yeah. The thing is, like I said, I think when we're looking at the standings right now, I don't expect Trailer Park Boys to be at the bottom for very long. I don't expect Oreos to get whipped that way very often. Ravens I expect to be better as well. Suicide Squad, like I said, they took an early loss. Melons are the type of team, they're going to be annoying by playoff time because they'll probably finish 5-5, but like you said, like they're already good and they're going to get better as they learn FPF, right?
So when you look at Blast from the Past, they fudged up the Oreos. You see that word, fudged up the Oreos, huh? You like that?
Although I think in my article, the first article of the season, I mentioned how the fudged Oreos were, to me, a misstep. Like it's up there with the golden Oreos. You got to get better. Like there's some Oreo flavors that really work, but like listen, Fudgio already exists. You already won that battle. Nobody likes it. Why'd you make your own version of that? Come on, Oreo, be better.
Double
be
stuff
better,
Oreos
Mr.
are pretty
Christie.
good though. When I used to eat Oreo cookies, I love double stuff. They were the best.
I feel because Mo doesn't eat anything now. He sustains on rice cakes
like
and
a
Airs.
paleo diet or something.
No, man, I don't eat red meat anymore, man. That's all.
There's no red meat in Oreos. I've heard about that.
I know.
But
anyway,
the other thing is with regards to the Oreos though, like I worry with the double stuffed is that the ratio of cream to cookie is not adequate. I feel like it just
true.
You know, because the balance of the original Oreo is really what makes it a special cookie.
Yeah, but you know when you got that much cream in your mouth, I mean it's tasteful.
Special experience.
Exactly.
You know what they're probably doing? It's probably a cost-effective measure where they're reducing the amount in the regular Oreo and then adding it to the double stuff and charging you more for it.
Because paying 0.06 cents per cookie was already too expensive.
I'm not a big Fudgio guy though. I'm not a big.
That's what I'm saying. A fudge Oreo is basically a glorified Fudgio, which is
So
terrible.
anyway,
which is the worst of cookies. We can all agree, right?
Yes.
Fudgio is the worst cookie of all time.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites.
There we go.
So
unless they want to sponsor this podcast, in which case, Fudgio, best cookie of all time.
Exactly.
Which one was the little raspberry thing in the middle?
I have fun. See, I don't like them, but my grandmother used to have them
exactly,
when she was alive, and so like I can't hate them because it reminds me of my grandmother.
No, I don't like them. So
me neither. But I gotta eat them every time I see them.
Of course.
And I cry.
So Blast from the Past fudged up Oreos, right? So the next two games for Blast from the Past is Dilly Dilly and Turtles. They're 2-2 Peeze. If they could put together a run of wins here, would you put them in that equation of being a contender for that conference right now, moving towards the second half of the season?
So there are a lot of guys who haven't played in a long time, but there are a lot of guys we know were really good. And Frank Grenier is a good quarterback. He's smart. He has an FPF caliber playbook, and he has got a good arm. And a lot of teams in Division E don't have that. So they have a competitive advantage coming in. When I saw him throwing into V, I was like, man, that's dicey because I know he hasn't played in a long time, but he's still a capable quarterback. Like in a division where a lot of guys aren't quarterbacks, right? So they have that as an advantage. I tend to not pick teams long term that don't have elite athleticism because in FPF throughout time, athleticism usually wins unless it's the U.
Well, like the U's not a team for those who don't know, who are always unathletic but always won.
Well, they also got more athletic through the seasons, right?
You don't think this roster is athletic? Like you have, I know it's I'll call it
aging.
legacy players, but you have like Adrien Leboeuf Français des Autois. You have Maurice Dickmans who's back. Hyman Long's on this roster too as a receiver DB this time around. So besides that, I mean, he also can be in the playbook.
And also he can sell you some sick ass gloves. But which is the receiver that scares you, Eagle? If you're game planning, who terrifies you?
For me, it would be Adrien des Autois because I've played with him and I know how good he is.
Oh, he's good, but I'm not like he's not like matchup proof.
No, but Dykeman's, I believe, is top 3 right now in receiving yards in this division.
Yeah. I
think he has the most targets as well. But
this also isn't a roster that you game plan against an individual, right? Like it's a system team where you have to shut down the whole system. You have to take away the entire playbook. You have to force Grenier to go to second or third read, have to dance in the pocket, buy some time or whatever it is, which clearly is not what he's good at. Yeah. So that's how you would beat a roster like this. It's not shutting down an individual. It's shutting down the playbook.
It just, to me, like, and I wasn't there for that game. I was talking to John Edgehill, he was at the game. I think he might have score kept it.
No, he's in this is in Broadside, actually.
So then maybe he just got the information from his brother. But the Oreos had their, Justin Charles is throwing, and I think Justin Charles is excellent. We also discussed last week how they had, although he wasn't there this week, Trey Bentley, who's arguably a better quarterback on the roster, right? So this might already be the turning point where they turned it to Trey. The other thing is, I would just imagine with that roster, why didn't the Oreos just man up across the board and force Frank Grenier to make accurate throws? Like I wasn't there, so I don't know if that's what they did, but Oreos win every matchup across the board if they play man, right? There's not a single person on Blast from the Past who can win their matchup every time.
No, but at some point the bubble was going to burst for Oreos. They were going to lose a game, and this is a bad loss. And I think for them, they
it's
needed
the kind
this
of
loss.
team they would lose to, right? Like they're going to lose to a team that just knows more than they do.
It's sort of like, to use a college basketball comparison, Peeze. It's sort of like Blast from the Past is like the Wisconsin half court, right? They're going to slow it down, make you play to their strengths.
Why would you insult anyone and compare them to Wisconsin basketball?
Because I'm reading the book on Giannis, right? They won the NBA title, so Wisconsin is what I thought of.
Yeah.
And the Oreos are that high press fest. We're going to run it up and down the court, 8 seconds or less type of offense. And when you see how and look, I think the Oreos are a very athletically gifted team. There's no question about that. But this Blast from the Past is your typical YMCA Sunday basketball team that's going to just muck it up and make things difficult. And that's what happened. They just kind of ran into a swamp of players from Blast from the Past, and Oreos couldn't figure it out. And
most
this
important question, though, for this analysis is: should Wisconsin college sports be banned from ever playing again?
For college basketball, yes.
And college football. They're pretty boring in football, too.
Football, they're competitive, man. They'll be Ohio State.
Well, they're going to be 6th every year and never win a championship?
No, they always go deep. I give them props. I give them that. Okay. They always get blown out. They always make it to the Rose Bowl every 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. They're the date that finally says yes to go to the prom. They're the backup plan.
Yeah, every 4 years they get a call up. Hey, you're coming up. But look, I think now for Oreos, and they got Mythiques coming up this week. Mm-hmm. This is a big game because Oreos, if they were to lose, they would fall down even further in the ladder of team rankings right now. They are in second place, Peeze. How important is this game this week for Mythiques against Oreos? Because the O's need this victory, but Mythiques are kind of hovering not too far from them in the overall standings.
Well, Mythiques were surprisingly good their first week, right? And then they didn't have Vincent Cantain the second week, and then they had him and got blown out in the third week. And they're kind of up and down, right? So I don't even know what to make of the team. I haven't seen them in person yet, so I'm kind of going to reserve judgment a little bit. But this, to your point, Mo, this is going to dictate what the season is for both teams, I think. This is kind of like a line in the sand kind of game. So I can't comment. I don't know the players the way I do on Oreos, and I haven't seen, there's so many teams at FPF. We try to see as much of them as possible, but I just haven't been at the field at the same time as them, right? So our schedules haven't crossed. But from what I can see, they seem to be a little inconsistent. And if they win this game, it shows me that they can put it all together. And if they can't win the game, it means to me that they're not going to be a legitimate contender this season, because that is going to continue to plague them.
Right. Well, that's it. I think for Mythiques, if they were to win this game against the O's this week,
Oreos too long to say?
I just use the O's. Why not, man? Because the Oreos.
You change it from 3 syllables to 2.
Oreos, O's, whatever.
Actually, not even. You change it from 2 syllables to 2.
Whatever.
All right.
Oh, if they can beat the O's this week.
Okay.
I think, it goes back to that point that you need to get that signature victory. And this could be that win for the Mythiques, that, hey, they beat a much more gifted team, athletically speaking, here, that has the speed, the size to match up with anyone across the board. And if they were to get this victory, you put yourselves A, with a tiebreaker over the O's, and B, a fair chance to be a top 2 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which, again, in that division side, if you look at the teams from top to bottom here, Peeze, that's not going to be easy navigation once the playoffs roll around.
Do you see a possibility where Mythiques win this game, they beat Oreos, but then they're still inconsistent and finish 5-5?
Yeah, I could, because we talked about it before, right? Division E is starting to shape up to be the unpredictable outcomes.
It's the best Division E I can remember.
We fluked into this, by the way.
Yeah.
We fluked into it because Division E, technically speaking, has always been that developmental league, quote unquote, the lower divisions,
and
where you have a lot of blowouts.
We didn't have enough teams to split it.
Exactly. That's my point. That we fluked into this. That there's no split. So right now we got everyone together in one big party. Well, we can't have a party technically because of COVID-19 rules, but you get my point. And now we have this where you and I don't know who is the heavy favorites going towards the next
I
5 games.
legitimately can't tell you who the best team in the division is.
I can't either, Peeze.
The two teams I thought lost games, I thought they would win easily.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell you, dude. And the Bad Batch is letting me down. I might not even watch the show now. It might be a waste of time for me to watch the show.
Well, I can tell you though, Division C with Infantry,
mm-hmm.
I was looking at their schedule piece, and they're on top of the division, highest scoring offense, one of the lowest scoring defenses. Their schedule is tough, okay? If they go on a run here and they go undefeated, Peeze, let me tell you one thing. They have earned the right to say they are the heavy favorites to win this division because if they beat they beat Bless last game of the year. They got Top Sauce that's improving week by week with their new quarterback play as well. And Chase, right? This team, if they can go unscathed, Peeze, there's no doubt in my mind that they could perhaps be the favorites to win this division moving forward.
So, what is it about the Infantry that causes us to doubt them every season?
Well, I'll tell you why. First off, if you remember, Fall Cup 2020 or 2019, I beg your pardon.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Submergent said to Jason Rossi, "Yo, bleep off and suck my bleep."
Yeah.
All right.
So Jason Rossi's no longer the quarterback of the team.
No,
Kowalski is a guy who's very well respected in FPF as a quarterback. They added Jalen Greaves, who's incredible. Eddie Lee improves any defense he's on, and you have the Submergence, right? So like, top to bottom, this is a good team, and it's been that's been the core. Let's say like Corey, Jalen, and the Submergence. That's been a core for a little bit, right? So,
a volatile core at times, but it's worked.
Yeah, but the talent level's there, and like Corey is the calmest guy I've seen pretty much ever. So like, he's the guy who's gonna bring it all together, right?
He does, and I think now, and we'll get to our Stephen Harripersaud stat of the week afterwards. He is probably second right now in the quarterback rankings of this division. But let's not forget though, right? Tackle football begins next month. So Jalen Greaves may not be available for this team.
Yeah.
And if he's not,
it's not the same team.
It's not the same team. You know, because he brings a dynamism to this offense and defense that cannot be duplicated by anyone else that would follow in his footsteps if he cannot come to the games in August.
He played with me in a season where I'm pretty sure he was too young to play in FPF. I can admit that now. And even then, where he was not as tall as he is now. He was probably 16 or 17 years old. And like Fred Morris said at the time was like, this kid can ball. This kid can ball, you know? And like, he's only gotten better, right? So we know how good he is. We know how much it would affect the team for him not to be there. Hopefully he can. But obviously, look, this is a recreational league. People have commitments outside of here. So, you know, that's going to have an impact. And this happens in springtime more than any other season, right? Where fall, you know pretty much who can commit and who can't. Winter, everyone pretty much is in. And in springtime, guys are available for parts of the season and you lose them for other parts.
Whether it's like
vacation or other obligations.
Yeah, background characters become more prominent, right?
Yeah.
But
the depth of your team matters a lot more.
Exactly. And they can lose Jalen Greaves by the time this is posted up. So in about 16 days from now, Jalen Greaves could very well be in training camp for Concordia football. And that's probably into that because they're going to go heavy on practices. So he may not be, first off, he may not be allowed to play.
Yeah.
Even if he is, he may not be.
He's theoretically not allowed to play.
And even if he is allowed to play, which I don't think he will be, he may not be like fully healthy because of the number of practices they'll be going through to get these guys ready for a tackle season for the first time in 2 years. So
who's the guy? Who's the guy on the roster of the less familiar names? You know, Dwante Morgan, Mike Collar, Preston Harris. Who's the guy who has to step up? Who's the next guy?
You see, when I look at the numbers, right? I've seen Collar play before, not bad, but I look at a guy like Dwante Morgan. Okay, so far he has 1 touchdown grab, 8 receptions on 12 targets. That's a
good ratio, by the way. Like that's fine.
It's solid, right? And he's got that's a 71% ratio, I think, success rate. But he's probably gonna have to see his numbers increase because if Jalen can't play for the rest of the season come August 6th and beyond, I'm not saying he can replace his production value, but it might be a collective effort of guys.
The thing is, like, so those targets will obviously, like Rory Submergent, Sean Submergent, and Eddie Lee will get more targets than they did before. But I'm saying there needs to be like another guy, right? Like there's somebody who's not one of their main guys who needs to step up once they lose that. Because again, the depth is more important in spring season.
Yeah.
So you're thinking Devontae Morgan, and I'm inclined to agree with you. That's who I was going to suggest.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of suggesting, we look at S.H.I.T and we look at Top Sauce. Middle of the pack, they're starting to find their groove. I saw Top Sauce play with Patrick Jazzon as a quarterback. Not bad. I mean, he's not a traditional quarterback in this division or in this league. When you look at it right now, Peeze, at this point of the season, both have been finding their rhythm. Do you think any of these teams can be a threat towards the top 5 or even being the top 5 of the rankings of their conference right now?
Top Sauce worries me because despite the top end talent on the team, it's hard to go into the season having planned one thing and for that plan just to fail spectacularly. By the way, I have information about Vince Nardone. His injury is a shoulder injury, and that's what affected his ability to play quarterback. He didn't want to get surgery before the season. He's not sure if he'll get surgery. This is in my conversation with Jim Calethris because he wanted to clarify what was going on because we had a conversation of like, if the regression is because of his ability, then where does he fit in as an FPF quarterback?
Absolutely.
But he cleared up that it's absolutely injury based, which makes a lot more sense now that we have all the information.
Yeah, like Mo's finger.
Right.
Like Mo, you've never been the same.
I've not been the same.
Ever since that one night with you and I, and that finger just bent sideways.
It has been awkward. June 18th, 2022, Peeze. We'll reunite again.
So, and look, last time I doubted Pat Jazzon's team. Green Monster made me look really stupid in the playoffs. And maybe they'll do it again. And the talent around Patrick Jazzon is immense. But in a vacuum, if you have to choose a quarterback to play in this division, would you choose Pat Jazzon or would you choose Jake Applebaum?
Applebaum.
And so at that point, then the competitive advantage has to go to the team with a better quarterback. And by better, I just mean more experience and someone who we can look to and say right now he's better than Pat Jazzon is at this division. Pat Jazzon might end up being the better quarterback of the two when it's all said and done. But we're reacting to the body of work we have in front of us right now, and that's how I see it in any case. What's your thoughts on it, Mo?
Yeah, I think S.H.I.T has more. They can roll the dice and they can come up with snake eyes and make a run here. Whereas seeing Top Sauce play, and I did see Jazzon throw. Again, unorthodox, but it works, right? It works because he's got athletes that can mask his.
And like they're 2-0 with him as a starter, right? So like,
yeah, and it's one of those like it's not Tim Tebow or anything, but he's got those Tim Tebow like throws. Like, whoa, what is going on here, right? But his playmakers come up big time.
Yeah, well, the surrounding cast. There's not a better surrounding cast in it.
No, there isn't
in the division, right? Like,
no.
We had this build as the top team, probably the top team, if not second best team in the division.
Exactly. But if that defense plays well, it just alleviates the pressure off of Jazzon that he has to come up with a throw after throw to make that clutch play. But I look at S.H.I.T right now, from where they were week 1 to where they are now. I just think they're starting to find their seam of success on both sides of the football here. And I think Jake Applebaum, who didn't play last year because of COVID and whatever other issues that was going on at the time, they now have personified not how they looked before COVID hit, but they are showing signs that they can be that team again that can score with the best of them and play good, sound defense when it matters most late in football games if it's a close matchup.
Yeah.
So that's what I see with him right now. So, Peeze, we look at Stephen Harripersaud, and you look at his stats this year, and he's going to kill us because, I'm sure he's not talking about it like a no-hitter, but he has not thrown interception yet. I believe he has 24 touchdowns, 0 INTs. So, gentlemen, we'll do a little side bet here. When will Stephen Harripersaud throw his first INT? Mm-hmm. And the one with the furthest prediction has to buy coffees for everyone else.
So I buy coffees every week though. So does it just me?
Right, exactly. Coffee? So it works out well again.
No matter what happens, is it just me buying coffee again?
Exactly.
So chocolate almond milk for Mo.
Exactly. So if I pick Sheesh and you pick Santar's and Eagle picks Bless or picks Infantry, I beg your pardon, and he gets it right, so I have to buy 1 coffees. So whoever makes the
just
prediction,
to be clear, this is a statistical interception, right? Not a actual errant throw interception. Those ones are the ones I would say is Harripersaud's fault. But if it bounces off a receiver's hands or a body and gets picked,
no,
those ones
it's
also
INT.
count.
His first
Just pure
interception.
INT.
We'll be like
Here.
absolute sports meatheads. Be better.
Yeah.
Be better. It's your fault if it bounced off a receiver.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I'm going with Sheesh right off the bat, like next game.
Okay, so we lock in for Sheesh. Peeze,
Yep.
we're locking in for what then?
I'll go with Silent Ticklers. Just because again, it's closest without going over. It's Price is Right rules.
I'm gonna go
Just trying to choke out the Eagle.
Blue Dreamers.
Okay.
Why? Why Blue Dreamers?
Blue Dreamers are really good.
I understand
They are
that, but why
good.
Blue Dreamers?
And I'll tell you why on our next topic in a moment here. So Blue Dreamers is what I'm picking right now. So
How
Iggs,
frustrating is it though for teams who don't know Stephen Harpersod? Like he doesn't throw particularly hard. His plays are not like astounding. They're
Not
good.
sexy.
They're great plays. But when you see this and you're a quarterback who can like throw the ball through a wall, and you see what he does, and he doesn't have the strongest arm by any stretch, how frustrated does that make guys who don't know him because he's new to the division?
yeah, he's not a seductive thrower of the football. He's
To
not.
me, I've been a fan from when I knew him at MFL. Like I've been a day one Stephen Harpersod. Like I love the dude. I
He's a
literally
great
love
guy.
him.
A+ guy.
Yeah.
100%.
And the thing is that again, his ability to read, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. You literally have to fool him, which is difficult because he reads the field really well. But he's not going to throw a ball. He's not going to throw a contested ball. It's just not what he does.
No, and that schedule's not easy, Peeze. It isn't.
No.
And
There's no easy schedule Division C. Division C is
there
ridiculous
isn't.
this year.
And if our backroom staff was able to get the team stats up properly, we would be able to break it down even more with
Jesus.
the defenses
Yeah.
out there.
ETA,
As I can see the
I'm fixing
frustration
the
on
website.
Eagles and Peasy's face. But if
You know, because again, Mo, like the show, we do a lot of narrative, we have a lot of fun. To write articles with not even minimal, but like flawed information, it makes it so difficult. And I
not easy.
especially like a guy like Frankie Taylor Colatrella, that's his first season writing for us. I feel bad. It's hard. It's a hard job, and it's made
He
it a
has
lot
no
harder.
idea. He has no idea. But look, the only way that Stephen Harripersaud will have a bad game if he has a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well,
if
like
the team has a bad game,
in the playoffs where he made that mistake.
Wait, say that again, just in case I didn't hear you properly. The
No, you're
only
right.
way
He has a
Stephen
bad game.
Harpersod has a bad
Has a
game,
bad game.
is
If he has a
if
bad
he
game.
has a bad game.
I was
Yeah.
trying to be a good teammate, Mo. I threw you up
Exactly.
the
I
alley-oop.
was going with the Stugatz line of the week, you know?
Yeah,
I
it was
tried to
pretty
deal
good.
for line.
But I know what you mean because like I always say this, Mo. This is a Peeze classic. I always say, guys, I never make a mistake until I make my first mistake.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
you know, it's the same kind of thing.
This is my
Exactly.
uncle when people ask him, "Well, how long you been in Canada for?" "Oh, since I arrived."
We need to make a book of all these sayings, by the way. How
Right.
to say a lot of things with not many. Sorry, how to say nothing with a lot of words. But so I remember the finals where he made a mistake and he threw the post basically at a defender, and he just didn't see the defender. They completely fooled him, and it kind of wore on him. And like I remember after that game, he was contemplating never playing FPF again because of how
man.
how bothered he
He's
was.
one of those
by-
quarterbacks, huh?
Well, he's not, but that's not his personality at all. He's the most even keeled dude, but it bothered him so much. He felt like he let everyone down. And I remember because again we have such a great vantage point at the finals, and they were driving towards us. I saw the safety break on it before he even wound up to throw, and I was just like in my head as we're calling the game. I think it was you and I, Mo, and I was like in my head I was like, don't throw it, don't throw it, don't throw it, don't throw it. And he obviously doesn't have the same vantage point that we have, where we can see. We have the all 12 look, right? The 6-on-6 look, and from that point on, he just wasn't the same rest of the game. Like it needs to be that kind of mistake where he just can't settle down again. But I just think the team around him is so strong that they'll lift him up if he has that kind of moment again.
Imagine
He's flustered.
if he had goggles with the all 12 look. Game changer for him. He'd be throwing.
He would never throw
touchdowns.
another interception again.
Exactly. We'll see. Maybe he throws one, but we have our picks, and the one with the furthest Selection away, we'll have to buy copies for the losers. Blue Dreamers.
Again, Eagle and I just did the thing where we chose the first 2 games because you're most likely to have to buy copies.
I know. That's okay though. Blue Dreamers 3-1. Eagle, did you get the image of what I want for our boy Alessandro Barzoni?
I will. Just give me a bit. Don't worry.
Yeah, it shouldn't take you that long to Google the name of the quarterback that I want. So anyway, the 3-1.
He only had an hour more.
I know. Only an hour.
Only an hour to do it.
Only to do it, right? He was probably playing like Pokemon. Like
he was. I was watching him.
So, like, Blue Dreamers are 3-1. They're hovering up the necks of these 2 teams, Infantry and Blessed. Out of 3, like Barzoni might be the weakest quarterback out of the 3, but it's again the supporting cast around him that could carry the load, and if he's not having a good football game. And they had a pretty solid outing against B-ballers. Beg your pardon, not B-ballers. They had a solid outing on the weekend. I don't know, get the schedule up here. Against Centaurs.
Yeah.
And that was a chippy affair. Now they got Easy W coming up here. They got Infantry coming up in 2 weeks. Sheesh coming up as well. So the next 3 games will not be easy. No pun intended, Easy W here. But this can really define their season, Peeze. That at 3-1, if they can take 2 out of 3 and be 5-2, they're in good shape going towards the final 3 games of the season.
Yeah. I've liked this team from the beginning, like from just having seen the roster before the season. It's insanely talented. It's insanely talented. Alessandro Barzoni, I don't even think he's less talented, like from a raw skill potential. Like I would say, like he's got more arm talent than Stephen Harripersaud, right? But he will take more chances because of that arm strength, in a way that Stephen Harripersaud doesn't take chances.
Right.
So that's the only thing that may affect him, but also that's the thing that makes him special. That's the thing that makes the team special, is that at any time they can have a game-breaking play. So that's the thing that I like about the team. That's why from day one they've attracted me.
Right.
Not to mention the THC themed team name, which Rob obviously didn't flag because he doesn't know anything about the cannabinoid arts.
He's a family man, suburban father now. He doesn't know anything about this stuff.
Yeah,
he's like a progressive guy.
He's a 50s dad.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything about that. But
he drinks milk at supper, I'm sure of it.
I'm probably 1% milk on top of that. So Eags, can we get that picture up here? What's going on here, Eags?
Ooh, that's a good question.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
What am I looking at?
So Barzoni is the Joe Flacco of this division.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Why? Can you give me more information?
I'll tell you why next week.
This isn't a he looks like Joe Flacco. You just wanted me to get a picture of Joe Flacco to make your point visually? Question
on
mark?
the audio
podcast.
What I'm talking about. Barzoni and Della Zara, who's Barra's boy and our homie as well, even had to laugh at this, saying, I can't believe we called him Joe Flacco. The guy ran like Joe Flacco. Like, Joe Flacco can never run. He's not Lamar
Joe Flacco
Jackson.
had a huge running touchdown. His first season was like 70 yards.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, Barra ran like Joe Flacco, and he threw the ball like Joe Flacco, the throwing motion. I was like, holy bleep, this guy's Joe Flacco, but in an FPF form. And I go, Barry, you are Joe Flacco. That is your new nickname. Your nickname is Flacco from here on in. No, please don't talk about it. I go, bro, I'm going to talk about this nonstop on the podcast next week, bro. Joe Flacco is now an FPF in the form of Alessandro Barzoni.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see it. I didn't see the play, so it's hard for me to visualize. But I kind of get what you mean in that, like, his, he doesn't look as though he's running particularly quick, but he is. He's remarkably quick. I'm trying to get that touchdown run. It was in 2011. Eagle, 70. Sorry, no, that's a passing TD. Eagle, can you find out how long Joe Flacco's touchdown run was in 2011? It's remarkably long. Seeing Joe Flacco now, you couldn't believe that was the case. You couldn't even
All
really.
I'm finding is playoff runs.
Anyway, so the point is, Barzoni now is Joe Flacco. So if you see Alessandro Barzoni, call him Joe Flacco.
Sounds good.
Because he's Joe Flacco. All right, co-ed. Power Rangers, can they afford another loss here and still win the division? They do play third down for twice late in the season here, Peeze, because for Power Rangers and how they've come about, it might take only one loss to win the division, but you're going up against a very powerful third down for that top crown in that regular season.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily think this at the beginning of the season. but I've increasingly begun to get convinced that Third Down for What is the best. I yeah, they're to me they're the team to beat. If they don't win the division, it's that they lost it, right? Like you're talking about the week 7 matchup, and they have like a back to back, which is kind of fun. That's always a fun scenario. I don't see a scenario where Third Down for What doesn't win both games, and then of course when they lose both, we can cut this up and make fun of me. It'll be really fun.
Well, again, we spoke about it before about Third Down for What. They could, again, with like other teams in this division or league, with tackle players coming up with their seasons very soon. Third Down for What could be weakened by the Murphy boys not being there. Coaching commitments for Kevin Lubin
Sarah
as well,
Parker,
right?
20 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Oh, by the way, so Sarah Parker, I saw her at Brossard this past week, and she's like, "Yeah, we won our game, but I threw my first INT." I go, "You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
I want you to go sit in the corner in that bench. Think about that mistake and come to
think
a
about
better answer."
Think about your place in FPF. Jesus.
Exactly, right? But I have a really good
Meanwhile, if
topic
I go
with-
half without throwing an interception, I buy myself a cake.
Exactly. But I have a really good topic with Sarah Parker in the quarterback division later on next week about that. But when I look at right now for Party Mix and what they've become, or Power Rangers are bigger part for what they've become, they can't afford another loss because I can't see, as you said before, Third Down for What losing twice in the same season. It's hard, and that's why they got.
I don't think they'll lose a game.
No, I don't think so. But if Power Rangers are to do it, they have to run the table and not lose for the rest of the season.
Yeah, not having Vincent Malo and Valerie Verdi the way they planned, they just haven't played a single game all season. That makes it tougher for Party Mix. It's a good team overall. It just you're counting on people. They thought the team was gonna be one thing, and Vincent Malo, I don't know if it was in my article or if it was on the show last week where I was like, he's not somebody that we know a lot of in FPF, but I've seen him play it, and the guy is amazing.
Right.
And Valerie was supposed to have a valuable contribution to this team as well. But look, Jasmine Farmer, Serge Pilon, Constance Miller, these are names we know from Party Mix, right? That's their core. They need to find a way to carry it through.
But can they become a top 2 team though, Peeze? Like in terms of the
sorry,
run
for Power
that they
Rangers.
go.
I was very confused because they're playing Party Mix this week. Power Rangers women. So.
Yeah. But it goes into our next topic though, right? With Party Mix Power Rangers, right? Like Power Rangers, we know cannot lose a game. Party Mix are 2 losses right now.
Yeah.
Can they become a contender for the top 2 seed in their playoff side of the bracket?
You mean Party Mix?
Party Mix, exactly. Because they're in 4th place right now at 2-2.
I mean, they always are, because François Delorier, who I am François Delorier. He's gifted, right? We know he's a good quarterback. He's been good in co-ed for a while. The team itself, like Emma Racine, is a talent, and the fact that to me she's only been targeted 10 times in 4 weeks is a shame. Well, she only played 3 games, but still, like, you need to get her more than 3 targets a game. She's phenomenal. She's probably one of the best players in the division. I remember Alexis Dubois. I once said, like, hey, I think she'll be all right. And then Alexis Dubois, who covers the division, like, chewed me out because he's like, no, you need to put some respect on her immediately because she's probably the best player in the division. And you need to do better research on co-ed, which I've started to do. And he's right. She's awesome. So she needs to get the ball more. Right now it's been too Johnson focused and Quaid and Lonnie getting the bulk of the work. And I think, like, to me, Emma Racine, someone who you can consistently count on, especially like 3rd and 4th down. She's just really good at getting the ball in tight places. She's really good at being just a solid possession receiver that helps extend drives. That's only a stat. Like we've taken so many stats, and even at that, we don't even know a lot of times, like in the season, who are the people getting the first downs, right? Like who are the people sustaining drives. And just by watching her play, she's always that person. And to me, it would behoove François Delorier to use her more. Did I use behoove right? It's one of those words I
Yeah,
don't
you
use
did.
often.
You used
Nice.
it well.
Eagles Pokemoning, so yeah, you didn't get a clarification from my producer.
Is it,
Yeah, I know the word is that. I'm asking if I used it right.
well, here's the thing though, right? When
Jerk.
I look at this,
It
when I
is a duty
see
or responsibility for someone to do something.
Yeah, so use it right.
Incumbent on.
Yeah, so it would behoove him to use her properly. Emma the behoove Racine.
and by the way,
That'd
she
be a
was
great
playing
name
for
for a team,
Yin
by the way,
and
the
Yang
Behoovers.
last season when we had the last season for FPF and Fall Cup last year.
Sorry, Mo?
So she was playing for Yin and Yang
Yeah.
last Fall Cup. So she's a
that's
very
where
good
I first saw her
talent.
play.
Exactly, and it goes to my next topic about we have some really good female quarterbacks in this division, but Peeze, when you look at the top 10 receivers, it's all males.
Yeah.
Why haven't we seen more of a presence from the females to be a top 10 receiver in this division?
Look, it is. There's just a lot more experience from the male receivers, right? You see a guy like Alex David who has like, I don't know, 1,200 catches in FPF. Like, he's obviously, a guy who has faith from his quarterback in a sense. Sarah Parker will look there because he's an established receiver in FPF, and the female receivers don't yet have that gravitas because they're just newer to flag football. But to me, like, again, you see your team kind of struggling with 2 losses already, and you don't get someone as talented as Emma Racine involved. What chance does anybody else have? What chance do the other female wide receivers have if that's still a struggle? I think it's just going to improve over time. And we've seen, one thing we've seen from Code from day one is that the strength of your team is in the females. Because if you're playing 4-on-6, you're not going to win games, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the cream will rise to the top. And we've seen it in the finals every year. It's always one of the female receivers that makes a big play, whether it's a key touchdown, whether it's sustaining a drive. Because, again, it's not always the flashy plays. It's sometimes you just need someone to convert on 3rd and 3, and they've locked up your top 2 male receivers, and you need to have that confidence and that comfort level with your female receivers, and it's gonna it's gonna hurt the quarterbacks who don't go to them often enough, because the talent is there. The talent in co-ed's out of this world.
Yeah, it is, but and Alexa Dubois can probably answer this question better than we can. But
honestly, this is based on a conversation I had with him, because I said, well, like, how good are these girls? Because this is early on when I didn't cover co-ed at all. It was very complimentary to our league at the beginning. And he said, dude, like, come watch some games. And I took him up on that. I watched some games and I said, these girls are amazing. Like,
well, some of them are coming from college level, Canadian national teams type of thing, soon to be university teams. So yeah, they know their football and everything. It's just maybe their knowledge of FPF systems are less. Maybe it's
and I think it's a reputation thing
with their teams.
I think it's a reputation thing where a lot of times in FPF, it's like any other sport where people with the reputation of being good receivers get a lot of targets, and
but
they're just newer to the league.
I know, but if you have a talented female receiver, use it. Use them. I'm telling you, I got Alex David who makes 45 million catches per season.
Well, I think they're down for what is like the exceptional circumstance, right? Any team with a female quarterback means there's potentially one less female receiver on the field. So at least there you can say, okay, fine, there's a justification for it. But for the other teams, it's inexcusable.
It is. It's just quizzical in my mind that the top 10 receivers are all guys, and we don't have a female cracking that top 10 for receivers.
Yeah, like if I had Jasmine Farmer on my team, I would force feed her the ball constantly. She's amazing.
Behoove and quizzical in the same segment. Just wow.
I had another one too. I
used Bamboozle today.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Here, you're like, look, if you want Peeze, if you want a list of, terms I have them all right here, man.
Nice, that's pretty good.
Do you have the weather in there?
No, I don't do weather. I only do weather when I'm in the weather studio. That's when I
or like even like the fact that Constance Miller has 9 catches, to me. Okay, she had 21 targets, but so like I don't know. I haven't seen the game, so like I don't know if it's and again, reach out to me if I don't have the information right. But is she just not getting high efficiency targets, or is she just having a rough season? Because when I've seen her play, I was super, super impressed by her. Yeah. So I think that, again, the teams that use the female receivers better will succeed long term. And I think over time, we're going to see them become more of a dominant presence as receivers. It's just a matter of time before people start to recognize these
would
names
hope so.
as being the top players in the division, because they absolutely are. The top females in this division are up there with the top men.
Right. We go to Division D now. Johnny Fireball.
Yeah.
They're undefeated in their run so far.
I don't know if I know them from playing against them or if I know them by watching them play. Because some teams that change team name or just I'm less familiar with the team names. The fact that they came up a division and are doing this well so early is really impressive. But you had a stat that made you doubt their excellence.
Their 4 wins have come against teams with a combined record of 1-11. Is this fool's gold?
So you're thinking I've been too effusive with my praise? I worked in effusive.
Well, Peeze, I mean, look, it goes back to the old FPF. A team goes 10-0 in the regular season and they get bounced one and done in the playoffs, right?
So this is a classic strength of schedule debate, of which we haven't pulled the metrics yet.
No, we can't fault them because we don't know, because it's not the NFL where we can predetermine who they face the following year.
No, but
it's not like that.
The false kings argument, as we always refer.
Are you giving false kings? Is this false kings? False kings? Are we doing our first
fool's gold? But I mean, if we're gonna go, medieval,
are we doing false kings for the first time of the season?
Yes, we are. We are false kings. Let's go.
False kings.
There you go.
So I'm hesitant to call them false kings because both Eagle and I play them this season. So, but Mokan calls them false kings. The test is this week though. Glow Gang, right? Like I know Glow Gang are not the best version of themselves without Arnold Desjardins. But one thing I will say about, especially early in the season, the strength of schedule argument, part of the reason that the teams they've played against have such a bad record is they've also beat those teams. So 4 of those 11 losses are at the hands of Johnny Fireball.
So they're really 1-7 instead.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still not great.
No. Actually, ratio-wise, it might actually be worse.
Well, no. The percentage is still worse. 1-11.
Yeah.
That's how math works, Eagle. If there was another win in there, then your point would be taken.
Right, but again, we can't fault them for the schedule. But now they get, a Glow Gang team, a lockdown team that's, annoying, but they can keep up with them. I mean, there's not many tough teams on their schedule, Peeze. I mean, Trap Stars maybe, Tough Lungs perhaps, Hot Sauce Sports to end off the season. Undefeated Hot Sauce Sports. Just saying. Yeah, knock on wood. But I mean, look, there aren't any.
The last so Glow Gang again. They faced Glow Gang is their first test, although it's not the strongest version of Glow Gang, like we said.
No, it isn't.
Week 8 and 9 are probably going to be the hardest matchups.
But it's it. Like the end of season, Vultures, Tough Lungs, Trap Stars, Hot Sauce Sports. There's not a given win in those 4, right? Like
no,
they're statistically playing for the better teams in the division. So, although, like I said, I hate that I end my season on that game. They terrify me.
We replace Fireball with Johnny False Kings.
Johnny False Ball. I like
Johnny False Ball.
False Kings Fireball.
False Kings Fireball.
Yeah, so they're my False Kings right now.
They're the False Kings. Okay. Division D, you have your first False Kings. It is Johnny Fireball.
Johnny False Kings.
But honestly, I do like them, and Edward Arsenault is too good to be playing in Division D. Plain and simple.
Well, prove me wrong, False Kings. Look, from the list of 1-win teams in this Division D, who can you forecast that can probably crash without apology and make a run for a playoff spot? Because there are some decent 1-win teams in this division here, Peeze. And when we look at that right now, I think there are a couple of teams that can perhaps move up the ladder and make a bigger noise moving towards the second half of the season.
So if we look at the 1-win teams, I'll list them off to start. Kiss My End Zone. We talked about the roster, the early season roster reconstruction, which is looking to pay dividends. They won their first game this week. Stoics surprised me at 1-2. Tough Lungs surprised me at 1-2. Spears Legion is moving up a division, so that doesn't entirely surprise me. Fighting Alini surprised me at 1-2.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Clinkers again. Country, you can't put the team behind the 8 ball like that. But for a quarterback to miss 10 plays is a big deal.
Yeah, but it's so much. It's so awesome when he gets like.
Oh yeah, from a narrative standpoint, I love it. I also think there's just something off about that team, and I can't quite place what exactly is missing, but it does feel like something's missing on that team. Top season, we've talked about again. The top end talent of top season makes them a contender at all times. I just don't know what's going on with the quarterback and all the things we talked about before, right? And the leftovers at 1-3, that's a really, really tough start. I had high hopes for them because going back to their Kingdom days with the Chechere boys. If I look at this, so like in Conference A, I'll tell you who I think. I think Kiss My End Zone will be fine. I think Stokes will be fine. I think Tough Lungs will be fine. And then on the other side, it's fighting Eleni. And then like there's a separation at that point. I'd love nothing else than for Clinkers and Top Season to prove me wrong. I have friends on both those teams. Like they're guys I've played with and guys who I just like hanging with, you know? And so I want nothing more than to be wrong about those teams. But right now, the only 1 and 2 team I have any faith in to improve is fighting Eleni.
Right now, on that side of the division, 3 wins could get you 9, 10, 11, or 12 in the playoff spots.
Yeah.
It's not really puffing out the chest here, Peeze, of the depth of teams or quality of teams that will get into the playoffs here.
So what I'm starting to see in Division D is there's a mass difference between the top and bottom of division.
Well, that's the question, right? Are we
like
seeing
there's
separation?
There's 2 Div Ds.
Right, and we're seeing that separation right now. That we have the favorites now in the VIP room, and everyone else waiting outside in the club line trying to get into this spot because they know they're not going to get in right away.
Well, like, so this is the opposite of Div E, right? Like, if I look at the standings, it's what I expected going into the season.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong, or
you're absolutely right?
Maybe not Johnny Fireball because they were an unknown, but
Johnny False.
We knew Bruins are going to be great. We knew Glow Gang would be slightly less good. We knew Vultures would be good. We knew Blackouts would be good. We knew Voodoo. Well, Voodoo, they had a bad last season, so now this season's going to be good. New guys, the U pedigree, they always end up being good no matter what. So nothing really surprises me, and so that's kind of what we ended up with so far.
Right. The best receiver.
Who's a team do you think can surprise us? That can rise out of that sort of second tier talent.
I think top season they intrigue me. I know Andel hates on us or hates on me most of than you guys, but
yeah, I mean,
I think if they can get their act together and just figure out their quarterback position and not get off to slow starts, they can make a run. They could. I mean, look, we saw it right with top season when they in that whole playoff run when they won. What was it like? They won division. They got relegated.
And then smashed everyone in the playoffs.
Right, exactly. So I mean, they can do that. I mean, they can do that. And look, if they get the playoffs as a 10 seed, you know, and whoever they play in the next round to get by in the first round, yeah, they can make some noise. So I'll go top season, but they got to figure out the quarterback play, and they got to figure out the deficiencies on the roster of we got playmakers, but we need to get the ball in their hands if we're gonna make noise in this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Ryan McGrath the quarterback when they won the championship?
He might have been. I forget.
Because I remember him taking over at one point during the playoffs. Or did Bradley Perron take over from Ryan McGrath?
Yeah, and I think you are right about that. But again, it's all about cap. It's all about having the right guy in place, and if they can figure it out, they'll be okay in that sense. But speaking of receivers. Who is the best
Hurricane
receiver?
season, by the way, that he was a quarterback for, and they got bounced in the quarterfinals.
No, but they won a championship.
They won a FPF Cup, maybe.
No, they won a championship when they got
but McGrath was not the QB.
So McGrath was QB. I'm looking. There's a championship on his page. I think he was the QB during the season and was replaced by Bradley Perron for the finals.
Probably, yeah.
It was one of the two things.
Who is the best receiver in this division piece?
I mean, if you ask me that, I think the 3 best receivers are on my team, but I'll exclude those 3 for the sake of conversation. It's tough. Like I think I like Ryan Vanslet a lot. I've been a fan of his from the beginning, but from a raw skill set, I think I have sort of like a 3-headed horse in Michael Kazaka. Justin Lerner, and who was the other one? And Tim Horner. I've been a huge Tim Horner fan from like before I was even in FPF media. I saw him playing like Div 3. I saw him playing like a random game, and I was like, who is that guy? He's really good. And yeah, Mike Kazaka from day one in FPF was dominant, is continuing to be dominant. And the body control on Justin Lerner is ridiculous. But of course, they're secondary to my 3 receivers. So they're the 4th, 5th, and 6th best guys.
Etienne Bison's my favorite.
Etienne Bison's really good too, by the way. Yeah, that's a good point.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's very good.
I think for LSA, they have themselves a stud receiver. I think no disrespect Eagle to Jared Gallant. I think your boy Buccaneer kind of forces the ball to him a lot because he's probably the most gifted player in your roster. And look,
stats don't lie, Mo. That's how the award goes to.
For sure, right?
But there's a lot of amazing talent. Like Kevin Donnett's really good. Just as a guy who works well in space. Angelo
the Wranglers having a good season. Darren McDizian's having a good season for them.
Yeah, well, Darren's always been that, right? Darren's the Wrangler. He's a guy who just gets. He's a possession receiver. He gets a ton of targets, and he helps sustain drives. And I like seeing Zach Zwern in this division is also kind of nonsense, right? Like he's basically a borderline Div 1 talent playing in Div D.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though we won't have a guy who will go perfect for targets and receptions.
Yeah, so I threw a ball to Jean-Sébastien Roussy's feet, my snapper, and he got mad at me. I never thought the targets thing would come back to quarterbacks, but he got upset with me. He's like, I had a perfect rate. Like, you threw the ball away. Why? Just put it on me or throw it somewhere else. Throw it out of bounds.
Oh, don't worry. I would have ruined it for him anyway.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so I was looking at the stats, the career stats here, guys. Are you ready for career stats? Yes or no? I got your stats ready for you, boys.
Okay, whose career stats are we looking at?
All right, I'm not going to tell you what it is. So we're going to start with Eagle, okay?
Okay.
So Eagle, I was looking at it. I go, man, Eagle's been in this league for a long time, right? And I was like, man, he must, because I thought about the game he had against Hot Sauce, right? How well he played. And I said to myself, I go, man, Eagle's been in this league for a very long time. And I said, let me look at his career stats.
7 touchdowns.
Eagle. No. But Eagle, did you know? By the way, I love your profile pic. It's the best.
Yeah, that's good.
Eagle, did you know?
Are we really doing us here?
Yeah, this is
like Jesus.
This is the most masturbatory segment we've ever had.
Eagle, you're 1 INT away from 20 in your career.
That's actually pretty shitty, honestly.
That's pretty low.
Pretty awful.
What are you talking about, man? He's got how many people can say this? Okay, Eagle.
Considering he plays me every season, he should have like 20 in those games.
But Eagle might be a part of an exclusive club.
Also,
here.
You're doing this wrong, Mo, because this is regular season. You also have to go with tournaments.
Oh, I suppose.
Never mind. I have nothing. Never mind.
Exactly. We'll go regular season.
So you did it right.
Okay. Eagle might pull off a trifecta here. He'd be in an exclusive club of 20 INTs, 20 sacks, and 75 PDs. How many guys have done that in their career?
I don't know.
Exactly. Do you have an answer?
Do you have the answer, Mo?
I don't have the answer, but I'm just saying, though, how many guys have done that, okay?
5.
Anyway, but it gets better, though. For Peeze.
Interceptions, is that what we're doing?
No, Peeze. No, Peeze, my friend. I don't know if you know this, and we're going to do something special for you because I feel like this is like one of those special moments. Remember when Drew Brees broke the passing yard record for the Saints and they stopped the game and they gave him a standing ovation and gave him a football? Hey, congratulations, Drew Brees, on doing this and this.
Mm-hmm.
Peeze, I don't know if you know this or not.
I have no idea.
Get ready for this number here, Peeze, okay? If you are able to do this in your next game, Peeze, for your career, you, my friend, can hit 19,000 passing yards in your career.
There we go.
If you're able to get 195 yards in your next game.
Just imagine if they took track of interception yards, it'd probably be also 19,000.
Well, Peeze, you have some pretty good stats, Peeze. You're about to hit 350 touchdown passes in your career.
He's extremely close. If you count playoff stats, he's way over Mo. So, however
but from a regular
you're
season,
wrong.
From a regular season perspective, though,
all these clauses.
In regular season, it's not tournaments.
No, we're going regular season.
And I'll have 19,000 yards and 600 plus catches. So
How many people can do that? Tell me, Eagle. How many guys have
Lots
that
of
in their
guys,
career?
I'm
Huh?
sure.
If you actually give me criteria, I can tell you the number of people.
Well, you should know this, Eagle, but I don't think you do. Anyway,
Yeah.
Division A, Division B. The All Stars now, Peeze, are making a run up the rankings. They look like they found their groove, and this might be more than a 2-horse race. They might be the third horse that is picking up the betting odds in their favorite column here to make a run for maybe a top seed or perhaps a Division A title.
So it's tough. It's for the two reasons. It's tough to bet against Kevin Wyeth because his name is synonymous with Fly Plus football. If you open a Merriam-Webster dictionary and someone scratched out some other words and wrote Fly Plus football, they would then post a picture of Kevin Wyeth next to the words. Forever, the Division A Quarterback of the Year trophy was essentially the Kevin Wyeth trophy. It's a good team. The thing is, I do think they have the third strongest roster, which is saying a lot because Jared Taylor, Anthony Van Dram, it's a ridiculously strong team. But to me, Braves and Contraband are the two horses leading the race.
Well, their schedule next 4 games, they will face Ursus Medic, Braves back-to-back, and Contraband in the next 4. So
would you be surprised if they beat Urgence Medic and then lose the next 3 games, despite being, again, just almost as good as those two teams?
Yeah, I would be surprised because I think they can split with Braves. But I'll say this, though, right? The Braves are 4-0. I cannot fathom the All-Stars having 2 losses and winning this division on 2 losses.
I don't think they will. I think, yeah. And there's a risk that they leave there with 4 losses because they've already got the 1.
They do. And let's not forget, again,
I don't think it's likely, but it wouldn't surprise me if they leave with 4 losses.
And they lost to Contraband earlier in the season. I believe week 1 or week 2, whenever it was. But let's not forget, Peeze,
It was week 1.
that Jared Taylor, again, his commitments to University of Montreal football comes into play August 6th and beyond.
Yeah.
You lose that weapon.
Yeah.
That's a big loss because
course, it's a
watching
huge
him play with Kevin Wyeth, it's like Kevin Wyeth and him have been like Jerry Rice and Steve Young out there.
Yeah, it's it would be a blow. It would absolutely be a blow. 5 of his 17 catches already being touchdowns. He's recorded an interception already, so he's important on both sides of the ball, and he gives them a bit of youth that is needed on this team.
He does. But now, I'm sure Wyeth will play some with Van Dram, who's only played 1 game so far out of 4. But you got Pat Jerome.
Does he not fit the cap? Is that why he's there to replace Jared Taylor and get playoff eligibility?
I don't know. That's a really good question. Which I don't know if he might have to answer that question. But
I mean, I can do the math later, but
how about you do it now?
Perhaps you can do it now. But the thing is, if they have a full roster and they're fully loaded that can play, if I'm Contraband or Braves, I don't want to play them in the first round of the playoffs. Because obviously we have the playoff format 1 versus 2. Winner moves on to the final. Loser of that game plays winner 3 versus 4. If All Stars were to win, I mean, I wouldn't want to play them in that next round of games that they would have.
Oh, there's no. Kevin Wyeth still has that Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods feel where there's an aura of intimidation. The only team I think that's exempt at this point is Joe Mario and Braves, just because they kind of came in with that chip on their shoulder that they were going to be the best team in FPF.
Yeah.
And they haven't been disproven. So I still think that when Kevin Wyeth takes the field, there is that intimidation. It's like Tiger wearing the red polo on Sunday, right? Like that's
right.
If I was Kevin Wyeth, I'd say show up to finals every time with the red polo, right? Like it's that kind of feel. It's always going to be terrifying. But I do think, again, the Braves and All-Stars have a slightly better roster. I don't know Chernobyl. I didn't expect them to be strong.
Though.
I didn't expect them to struggle this much.
Well, Peeze, and it goes up to our next topic here. Urgence Medic choked choked their game against Chernobyl. Yeah. 3-score lead to lose whatever it was.
33-31.
Does Division B, with that loss by Urgence Mythique, does that open up Division B to everyone
No.
else behind them to win that division?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Even with what's going on right now in that division, with what we have, with 2 losses, Urgence Mythique, BYOB had 1 loss, and everyone else had 2 losses here, more or less.
So
You don't think any of these teams can maybe make a run at Urgence Mythique for the first seed?
I mean, I think they can. I still think Urgence Mythique is the best team, but it's, to me, there's a gap between Urgence Mythique, BYOB, and everyone else in the division. Those 2 teams are the only 2 that I think can legitimately even push the Div A teams in a significant way. So to me, the lowest I see Urgence Mythique finishing the season is the 2nd seed. Just because I personally really like BYOB also. I've been high on them since preseason.
I think Urgence Mythique just fell asleep at the wheel in their loss to Chernobyl, and they.
Do you see that happening again? Like, how often would that happen?
No, I can't see them losing again. But they just lost focus, lost concentration. Jesse Dupuis, these guys just had some unforced errors.
I wasn't there, Mo.
I was there. I saw it. They had some bad errors.
So I have seen this from Jesse Dupuis before. Sometimes when they're up, it feels like rather than just sort of killing clock and taking the win, he's always looking for the kill shot, and that's where he tends to make mistakes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you where they lost it. They had Pat Jerome playing for them. Jerome ran a corner out wide open, no one within 5 yards of him. He overthrew him. He overcooked the pass.
I see Justin Lerner play that game too. 4 targets, only 1 catch. Were they off target or just a rough game for Justin?
It's there's no telepathy with him and Justin Lerner.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And
just 2 guys that are not familiar.
Exactly. And when there was too much meat on that pass going towards Jerome, that's when Chernobyl won that game. And that's why I just think now with this loss at 2 losses, it kind of opens the door a little bit for the other teams to catch up to them. And I look at get off my D in KGB chaps here to wrap it up here, Peeze. I feel like they've underachieved. I don't know what they're missing from the rosters, but both these teams should be better than what they've shown so far this season.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. Like, did you think they would be one of the top? Like, let's say KGP. Did you have them pegged as a top 2 team in the division? I think they're about where we expected. You had them better than BYOB or Urgence Mythique?
I thought they'd be better. I really did, Peeze. I really thought that KGP would be much more competitive, and they would be at least 2-1 or 2-2, beg your pardon, at this point in the year. I know Phil Kelly did not play their game last week in Laval.
Well, but that changed because they could have been 2-2 at that point, right? Like
would have been, and they lost to.
So wait. So you think they would have either beaten Urgence Mythique or Get Off RD or BYOB
with Phil Cutler?
Yeah.
Phil Cutler didn't play last week, so it was Quade Johnson.
I understand.
But Phil Cutler has beaten these teams before.
Yeah, like I said,
I don't think they're beating Urgence Mythique.
I don't.
The Get Off RD game is a coin toss, and then BYOB, it's a close game.
I'm surprised. Like, I wasn't there for that game, but I'm surprised it was that close. BYOB only winning 25-6.
Yeah, BYOB again was messing around. They had a triple double and messed around, but.
Yeah, and they only had 6 possessions. Like, they scored 4 to 6 possessions.
Yeah.
So maybe one was at the end of half or whatever, and that changes the game.
I just think both teams are underachieved. I think KGP should be a lot better than what they are, and Get Off RD, they're just missing something. I mean, they were competitive with All-Stars, but they just couldn't
I think what's going to happen more likely is the bottom 4 teams in Div B will beat up on each other.
Yeah, they'll cannibalize each other and go.
And that's that's what we'll see. Like KGP, Junkyard Dogs, Get Up for D, Here for Beers. They'll all end up sort of middle of the pack, and one of those teams will be unlucky enough to not make the playoffs.
For sure.
Like that, the brighter days for KGP are to come, absolutely. And the fact that they stole a game against Chernobyl, to me, is a big deal. They play Contraband this week, but then they have a rematch against Get Off RD, Here for the Beers, and Junkyard Dogs back to back. So
Yeah.
they have 3 winnable games. So would I be shocked if they finished the season 4-10 after winning those 3? No.
Well, we'll find out then. And there's still some racetrack to play for all these teams here, but we'll see what happens. It is now time for
Games of the week. I'm never not gonna say that piece.
Slowest
So if
2
you want
minutes.
to do it, a
Slowest 2
different one.
minutes. Slowest 2 minutes. That's the name of the segment. Pay attention.
Let's try and do this a little
Do
bit
your job.
faster than our last time, Mo. Because
so
last time you stretched.
Yeah,
this.
we keep making a mistake because Rob used to give us shit for putting for not giving
we
analysis with our picks, but
precedents.
we're doing a lot of analysis this season. So for this
Yeah.
segment, just the pick,
All
just
right,
the
let's
pick.
go.
All right, you ready, Mo?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Division A and B. All Stars, Urgence Mythique.
So what Ken Watts has to do, All Stars,
All Stars,
Contraband, KGP.
Contraband,
Contraband,
Chernobyl 21, Junkyard Dogs.
Chernobyl 21,
yeah, I'll go Chernobyl.
Get Off Our D, BYOB.
BYOB.
BYOB, please.
Very interesting so far.
Here
Yeah,
for the
we're
beers,
on.
Braves.
Braves.
Braves,
All right, Division C, EasyW, Blue Dreamers.
Dreamers.
ECW.
Ooh, upset.
Mangoose versus the South Harmon Institute of Technology.
Shit.
I'm gonna say shit as well because you should be People Goose in 2021.
Sheesh versus Blessed.
Ooh,
That's a social media
Blessed.
handle if I ever saw one.
Blast.
I'll go Blessed as well.
B-Ballers, Top Sauce.
B-ballers.
Yeah. Go.
The Infantry, Les Centaures.
That's a fun
This
game.
is the Rossi game here, right? Like
Yeah.
this connections with the Rossi boys and Infantry. Give me Infantry.
This is the game that was born out of the screaming match, so give me the Infantry.
Balls Deep, Silent Ticklers.
Balls deep.
Ticklers.
Les Gros Coq, Les Centaures. That is a double header for the Centaures, by the way, Monday night.
Gros cock.
Santar.
Pardon My Swag and PDs and Negronis, Division D.
PMS.
PMS.
Top Season, The Leftovers.
Top season.
Yeah. Top season.
Loyola, Los Siete Amigos.
LSA.
Same.
Kiss My End Zone, Sparrow's Legion.
Kiss my hands on.
Bears Legion.
Vultures, The Stoics.
Stoics.
Vultures.
Trap Stars, Replacements.
Trap Stars.
Replacements.
Johnny Fireball, Glow Gang.
Glow Gang.
Give me Johnny Fireball.
Voodoo, Arush.
Arush.
Yeah,
I
go
think
with
it's a trap
Arush in this
game.
one. Yeah, Arush.
Lockdown, Mean Girls.
That's your
Lockdown.
nemesis. I'm gonna go Mean Girls.
Thanks, Mo. Bruins,
You're welcome.
Ballin' 60s.
Bruins.
Bruins, but I think they're gonna find out Ball and 60s are better than they thought.
The New Guys, Clinkers.
Clinkers.
Yeah, I'll go Clinkers.
Hot Sauce Sports, Tough Lungs.
Can't pick it. Hot Sauce Sports by 50.
Hot Sauce Sports, please.
Blackouts, Fighting Eleni.
Blackouts.
Yeah, Blackouts.
Tuts and Parlays, Les Bleus.
Hold on. Sorry.
Wait.
Give me Eleni, please. Eleni, please. I
Okay,
beg
fine.
pardon.
Eleni, done.
Eleni.
Okay, Tuts and Parlays, Blue Brawlers.
Tuts and parlays.
Tuts.
Division E, Quantrium, FFC, Ravens.
Ravens.
Ravens. They bounce back.
Suicide Squad, Save the Turtles.
Turtles, man. Very good.
Suicide Squad.
Green Means Go, Oscars Hockey School.
Oscars.
Green means go. I gotta do it eventually.
Balls Deep, Menace to Sobriety.
Menace.
Balls deep.
Oreos, Les Mythiques.
Oreos.
O's.
Les Chevaliers du Rohan, Melons.
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 Trailer Park Boys, V-Town.
V-Town.
Trailer Park Boys.
Blast from the Past, Dilly Dilly.
That's a fun game. Dilly Dilly.
Yeah, Dilly Dilly.
The Bad Batch, Pinchellos.
Bad Batch, you let me down, man. I can't believe I had to pick Pinchellos. Pinchellos.
And Brewers, Rainmakers.
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 Coed, Fighting Tigers, Les Semi-Croquants.
Tigers.
They gotta win.
Fantastic Nine, Yin and Yang.
Yin and Yang.
Yin and Yang.
La Secte, Third Down for What?
Third down for what?
They're down for what?
And Party Mix, Power Rangers.
Power Rangers. It's a good game, though.
Party mix. Party mix.
You think this is the upset?
Yep, party mix.
All right.
That was pretty good, guys. A little bit faster next time, though.
Yeah, a little.
Just a bit. We're going to get there. We're off about 30 seconds on our music, and I like that music, so I don't want to change it.
It's true.
Well,
It's
Eags,
nice
when you
and
have
fun.
like 85 million games in 30 seconds, it's humanly impossible.
You need to think faster, Mo. That's why you
I
throw so many
did.
interceptions.
I try never thinking, to be honest.
That's also why you throw interceptions.
But 19,000 passing yards without thinking.
True.
So
True.
On the cuts, we're going to stop the game and give you the game ball, okay?
it's my own ball. I own it. I always get the game ball.
We're going to arrange for that to happen, okay?
All right.
Perfect.
Cannolis and a game ball just a couple weeks away.
What a career. What a season.
Seriously.
Magic words, please.
You got what I need.
Good night, Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns.
So last time I went with Chris Paul. This time I go with Bismarcky, and then you finish Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Flip the table.
Good night, Ron Francis, assembling a very mediocre expansion draft team.
And they'll win a cup next year.
I'm back next week in studio.
Yeah.